controversy. Hey, Bill, you asked regular folks about the Biden cover-up. I believe only registered Republican and independent voters care about it. All the other folks, Democrats, believe what they want to believe. Non-voters are completely disengaged. Yeah, I would say it's 50-50. 50% care about what Biden did. The White House, and 50% don't. I'd say that's pretty accurate. Tom Hickey, Lakeland, Minnesota. MAGA faithful believe President Trump wanted to drain the swamp. Now the president wants to forget about the Epstein debacle to protect himself. What do you mean, Tom? You got evidence that Trump's involved in this? Why would you say that? So if you're going to say that, Tom, you have something. And if the Biden administration had the same data the Trump administration has on Epstein, they certainly would have put it out if Trump was involved. Let's be fair here. Rick, I don't believe the Epstein controversy is hurting the president or the Department of Justice. Most Americans don't know who he is. The voters know who he is. And it is hurting them. Is it a long-term pain? I don't know. But it's not a good look. Andrea, the whole Epstein thing looks pretty suspicious to me. There may be names on that list of some higher ups they don't release. They shouldn't have said they would release info if they weren't going to. And what about the Kennedy files? Still waiting for them? No, you're not. They put them out. Kennedy files are out. Okay, nothing new. Killing Kennedy, if you read the book, you will know what happened. Very simple. As far as the Epstein thing being suspicious, yeah, looks that way. But if you really delve into it and you add to the equation the Biden people had the same info, then a lot of that conspiracy stuff goes down the drain. In a moment, something you might not know. To celebrate Independence Day, our good sponsor, All Family Pharmacy, is offering a buy one, get one free sale running through July 4th till the 13th. That means if you order 90 capsules, they'll send you 90 more free. And yes, the doctor's prescription is included, no extra steps, no coupon needed. It's the kind of freedom and convenience most pharmacies just do not offer. So, if you've been meaning to stock up, now's the time to do it before the sale ends. Order online, go to allfamilypharmacy.com/bill, allfamilypharmacy.com/bill. Celebrate your freedom and protect your health today.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but that when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need to understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Now, the O'Reilly update brings you something you might not know. 492 years ago today, Pope Clement XII excommunicated the King of England. Defiant, the monarch created his own church, plunging the entire country into decades of religious strife. Here is the story of Henry VIII. In 1530, the 38-year-old king petitioned the Vatican to annul the marriage he had to his wife, Catherine, who was unable to bear him a son. At the same time, Henry was obsessed with a young socialite, Anne Boleyn. Well, the Pope refused. Enraged, King Henry renounced Catholicism entirely, forming the Church of England, the Anglicans. Henry himself was the head of the religion, second in command, the Archbishop of Canterbury. The monarch then married Anne Boleyn. Catherine was exiled to the cliffs of Dover, where she later died from mysterious causes. King Henry's impulsive decision caused generations of misery. Towns turned on each other. Both Catholics and Protestants were slaughtered by the thousands. Religious turmoil spread to mainland Europe. Sectarian hatred gripped France, Germany, Sweden, Switzerland, Spain, and Italy. To maintain order, Henry launched a violent campaign against all Catholics living in the British Isles. Within a decade, more than 70,000 English subjects were put to death. That number included Anne Boleyn. After 2 years of marriage, Henry grew bored with her. He then accused the Queen of treason, dispatched her to the Tower of London, where she was beheaded by her own guards. Henry's third bride, Jane Seymour, died a year later. Yet another wife was executed in the Tower of London in 1542. And here's something else you might not know. We chronicle Henry VIII's horrible deeds and the destruction he brought to England and Europe in my upcoming book, Confronting Evil. That's out September 9th. Henry VIII is absolutely an evil character. Back after this. Crime at an all-time high, so you might already own a firearm, but less lethal options can avoid the financial and mental repercussions of pulling the trigger of a gun. Like Byrna's less lethal launchers, designed to incapacitate attackers with tear gas and kinetic ammunition. Even better, Byrna just announced their all-new compact launcher. It's the same size as a smartphone, fires at 400 feet per second to deliver a hit like a sledgehammer. The compact launcher pairs maximum concealability with maximum force. Plus, more than 80% of its components are sourced right here in the USA and hand-assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Byrna is legal in all 50 states, requires no background checks, can be shipped to your door and trusted by police departments and government agencies worldwide. So please visit Byrna.com today. That's BYRNA.com. Thank you for listening to the O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. No spin, just facts, and always looking out for you.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. As rescue workers continue searching for flood victims in Texas, on the Salem News program this week on Capitol Hill with Tony Perkins, Texas Congressman Chip Roy says people in his state are holding up with strength and prayer.
We accept and we grieve, but we move on. And, you know, there was that image that was obviously created that someone circulated of those little girls wearing Camp Mystic T-shirts, racing to be embraced with Jesus. And, you know, I think that tells you the perspective of people here. And it runs deep in Texas, as it does in so many places in the country, but particularly in Texas, particularly in the South, people have perspective.
Salem Media, parent company of Town Hall News, is rushing emergency relief supplies to Texas through the Christian nonprofit organization Food for the Poor. More information on donating is available on the talk show website, hughhewitt.com. President Trump, along with First Lady Melania Trump, has been visiting the disaster area today. Over 120 people are known dead in the flash flooding along the Guadalupe River, with some 160 reported missing. The United States is sending weapons to Ukraine by way of NATO. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
The president said the U.S. is selling weapons to its NATO allies in Europe so they can provide them to Ukraine. He told NBC that NATO is paying for those weapons 100%. Ukraine badly needs more U.S.-made Patriot air defense systems to stop Russia's ballistic and cruise missiles. The president has repeatedly expressed displeasure with Russia's Vladimir Putin and recently held constructive talks with Ukraine's president. Greg Clugston, Washington.
On Wall Street, the Dow down by 279 points. More at townhall.com.
If you're living with pain, see how Relief Factor can help.
My back got injured very bad. I was off work for about a year. I heard about Relief Factor from my wife. I took it every day, 3 times a day for 3 weeks. Look at her and I said, the pain is gone. And she said, I'm glad it helped. I said, no, you don't understand. It's gone.
Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor. Go to relieffactor.com and get your 3-week quick start today. Only $19.95.
Are you over the age of 55 and want to secure your wealth with physical gold and silver? We are Advantage Gold, the #1 customer-rated gold company in America. We have been helping investors take their 401ks and retirement accounts and diversify them into physical precious metals like gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. Call us right now, 800-900-8000. Just call 800-900-8000 and claim your free gold investing starter kit. Also learn how you might qualify for up to $10,000 in free gold and silver. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Please consult your tax or financial advisor. Call us at 8.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A few isolated thunder showers, maybe heavy. We'll have to be on guard for maybe a very isolated pocket of some strong winds out of a couple of these storms, but very isolated. Most of these are just some heavy rain and lightning briefly, and they'll fade as the sun sets this evening. Then overnight, a few more storms redevelop for St. Louis, mainly near and after midnight, low of 75 degrees. Any morning storms move on. A few more may pop up in the afternoon Saturday. Better chance southeast of St. Louis, but we could get clipped by a few thunderstorms. 89 for the high Saturday. Sunday, a 30% chance for a few storms. 88 for the high. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Transform your furry friend at Dapper Dog. Personalized grooming for dogs and cats of all breeds, featuring creative color treatments and luxurious spa services with quick turnaround and one-on-one care. Let your pup play all day in our bark park Monday through Friday. Need overnight boarding? We accept only 10 families at a time for truly personalized care. No extra charges for playtime, medications, or potty breaks, so your pet gets the attention they deserve. In St. Peters and in Troy, or at youdapperdog.com. That's youdapperdog.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for the Great Window World. You know, just over the last 20 years of Window World being in St. Louis, they've improved the look and thermal efficiency of more than 76,000 customers in St. Louis. Plus, Window World windows come with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And now Window World is now offering 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. Call them today at 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
You know what's going on?
Have a great awakening.
You see through the smoke screen.
It's cool to be woke. News Talk STL. Until it's not. News, analysis, opinion. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
We just were making a little tour of the area. It's hard to believe the devastation. Trees that are 100 years old just ripped out of the ground. I've never seen anything like it. A little narrow river that becomes a monster. And that's what happened. But the First Lady and I are here in Texas to express the love and support and the anguish of our entire nation in the aftermath of this really horrific and deadly flood. Nobody has any idea.
Well, there is the president of the United States playing the consoler-in-chief, which we never want him to have to do because that means there's been a huge national tragedy. Listen to some of that press conference on the way in. I thought the president did a nice job. But, Chris, I became emotional myself when I heard Melania start speaking. Anytime you hear, and we all know Melania is a mom, the mother of Barron Trump. And anytime you hear someone as eloquent as her, the speaker of 5 languages, start talking about the anguish and the grief that she was trying to help console with the parents who have lost their children, that definitely hits to the core. I thought Melania did a really nice job, and I'm really glad she was with the president today.
Yeah, I didn't hear the press conference, unfortunately, but I think in that clip, the president struck the right tone there as he's consoling the victims and the families. We've seen the Democrats come out almost immediately and try to blame this on the Trump administration, try to blame it on FEMA cuts, try to blame it on not enough staffing at the National Weather Service, when even Democrats have come out and said that that is not the case. They had adequate staffing. And then I read today, Tim, that, they're talking about cutting in FEMA. President's proposal is to shift that money back to the states and block grants, let them take care of these disasters because they're the closest to them. FEMA announced that it has $13 billion in reserves right now. And of course, a major storm or a major disaster could deplete that pretty quickly. But I think that should quell some of the talk that there's no money available for FEMA and for these disasters.
I also think Greg Abbott, the governor of the state of Texas, I thought he did a great job, because the first thing he said, Chris, was the first thing we do as government officials, as public servants, when faced with a natural disaster is we spring into action and we try to do everything we can to save lives. That's the first thing we do. As you just pointed out, unfortunately, the first thing that the left, a lot of the liberal progressive media and the naysayers did was blame Donald Trump and blame it on climate change and blame it on Republicans, when number one, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that at all. You should do what Greg Abbott said, and you should save lives and minimize the damage and do all those sorts of things. Number two, can these people just stop chasing the grift for 5 minutes? There are studies after studies after studies, and one was just sent to me this week by our good friends at the Committee to Unleash Prosperity. Death rates from natural disasters worldwide are, get this, at an all-time low. Things like this have been happening since the earth was formed. Just ask the dinosaurs and the woolly mammoths about climate change and catastrophic natural disasters, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, how do we adapt to it as thinking human beings?
Yeah, I think it's unsavory, as I said, the Democrats automatically coming out trying to exploit this, trying to say there weren't enough resources. But, our own party, we're fair and balanced here. Our own party is not above politics. And there's a little politics that's going on in this situation, Tim. In the Texas legislature, they're having a special session. And of course, they're going to address the needs in the hill country, as they call it, for floods and building things up. But also attached to this special session in Texas is going to be a effort to do some redistricting and to add a couple more Republican seats to the House, which, hey, I'm in politics. I understand how the game's played. But I thought that part was very, very interesting. And some people are saying that it's taken away from the effort of these families to try to put in something political, like, trying to change, House districts, congressional districts, while you're addressing these families.
Yeah, it'd be nice if folks could focus on the issue at hand. And we even saw it happening here in the state of Missouri. We had a huge natural disaster, largest tornado in city of St. Louis history since 1959. And our own governor, kind of downplayed the billionaire bailout for the stadium owners and kind of upplayed the tornado relief. And even leadership in the House and the Senate on both sides of the aisle called him out on that, because they said the tornado relief wasn't even anywhere close to what it should have been. Originally proposed at $25 million. And because the governor wanted the stadium so badly, they extracted a few more pounds of flesh and they got that disaster relief up to $100 million. So yes, unfortunately, leaders from both sides of the aisle tend to play this game. If we have a natural disaster, how about address the natural disaster exclusively first and then move on to other things?
And the natural disaster in Texas with the flood, that's not the only storm that's going on right now in Texas, Tim. There was a storm.
I heard that.
There was a storm yesterday. State Senator Angela Paxton, she is the estranged wife of the Attorney General Ken Paxton. She announced that she is divorcing her husband. She said, quote, "I believe marriage is a sacred covenant, and I have earnestly pursued reconciliation." She said, "But in light of recent discoveries, I do not believe that it honors God or is loving to myself, my children, or kin to remain in this marriage." What a bombshell. He just addressed, or he just announced that he was running in the Senate primary against John Cornyn. Pretty good comeback, though, Tim. After his estranged wife made this announcement, his campaign announced that he's raised $2.9 million since then. But it'll be very interesting to see if this will affect this race in any way in my home birth state, the great state of Texas.
So I am not besties with either Paxton or his wife, but I have spent quite a bit of time with them. I even spent an entire day on a golf course playing in a foursome with them many years ago.
Be careful.
So yeah, that's true. I've got to watch my language, Chris. I should tread lightly. A golf foursome.
Yeah.
And so again, I don't know their situation. I'm not on their, I don't have their cell phone numbers, but I've met them several times. They seem like a happy couple, but this was like 8 years ago. And so I don't know what happened here. I did see a lot of negative comments directed at the soon to be former Mrs. Paxton that she made this announcement on Twitter. One of the immediate responses was, "And this has been paid for you by citizens for John Cornyn."
Yeah.
So,
and a little back history there. As you know, Ken Paxton was impeached a few years ago by the Texas legislature. He was found, he wasn't convicted. And that's when all of the allegations came out that Ken Paxton had been having an affair.
Yes.
And the woman that he was allegedly or was having this affair with was also very close to one of his donors. And this was supposedly a job that that she had because she was close, or the donor was close to him. And as we all know, this was not proven, or he was not thrown out of office. But as I said, and remember, Tim, polls came out show Paxton had a 20-point lead on Cornyn. This was about a month ago, so interesting to see.
yeah, Texas politics are just as rough and tumble as any other state. However, they're so big that theirs tend to get more attention because in Missouri, we'll have statewide races and, the statewide will spend 20, 30 million. I think our last governor's race was around that. In Texas, you're talking 100 to 200 million. They're just the scope and size of the state and the money. These are big dog races, and this is going to be an epic battle for a Texas U.S. Senate seat.
And the state gets a lot of attention, too, because every cycle, the Democrats believe that they can turn Texas purple. We've had several candidates run for Senate that said that they could beat Ted Cruz. They lost, of course, and they're believing that this cycle, that if Ken Paxton ends up beating Cornyn in the Republican primary, that'll be a seat that they can win. So they're pinning their hopes on Paxton winning. I'm always said that if Texas ever goes Democrat, you will never have a Republican president being elected again. But I don't think this is the year that we should worry about any Republicans losing any statewide seats in Texas.
Yeah, I think this is wishful thinking. Not only did Ted Cruz win, he won big. He ended up winning bigly, as Donald Trump would say. Speaking of Congress, we're going to speak to one of our congressmen at 425 that we speak with every Friday afternoon. Help take you in the weekend. Dr. Bob Onder, congressman from Missouri's 3rd Congressional District. Congress took a little breath this week, caught their breath after they passed the one big, beautiful bill. Bob was in Missouri all week, running around the Show Me State, probably raising money, kissing babies, shaking hands, and getting stuff done for his constituents. So we'll ask him what he's going to do, what Congress is going to do when they head back. There's a lot of talk about a second reconciliation bill, the rescissions package. The congressman has several of his own bills that he's moving. Bob's really hit the ground running, Chris. He's gotten some bills already filed and through some of the subcommittees in the House.
Yeah, unfortunately, not much going on in the Senate. Good legislation passes the House, but it hits a complete gridlock in the Senate. One of the things that I want to talk about the congressman is the upcoming possible government shutdown in September. They don't have many legislative days in between now and the potential shutdown on September 30th. Only 4 appropriation bills have been passed in the House. There are 12 of them, and we'll get an update on that from the good Dr. Congressman.
Dr. Bob at 4:25. Chris's Corner today at 4:45.
Yeah, remember Columbia campus activist Mahmoud Khalil? He is suing the Trump administration. I'll tell you for how much and why on Chris's Corner at 4:45.
Speaker Stump Speech at 5:07. Chris, you remember the Jeffersons so well.
Of course.
Yeah, moving on up.
I've got that hairline if I let my hair grow out. George Jefferson hairline if I let my hair grow out.
I loved the Jeffersons. That was a spinoff from
All in the Family.
All in the Family.
Yeah.
All in the Family. And
different networks.
Did it have something to do? Yeah, All in the Family and that. And I think there was another spinoff that spun off from that. But anyway, the title of today's Speaker Stump Speech is inspired by the Jeffersons. Not moving on up, Chris, but moving on out. Moving on out. I'm going to talk about income migration all across the country and what United Van Lines has taught us this week about where people are moving in the good old USA.
Yeah, the spinoffs for All in the Family were the Jeffersons, of course, and then Maude. Maude was a spinoff from All in the Family.
Was Mama's Family a spinoff of anything, or was it a standalone
That was from the
show?
old Carol Burnett show. She used to do that skit, and they eventually decided to make it a television show, and it was successful for many years. Ken, I can't think of his name, but he used to be with the old Mayberry RFD show. All the characters from the show. Harvey Korman was on there as well.
So funny.
He played Eunice's sister, our brother.
When you said Maude, for some reason I thought of Mama. All of a sudden, I don't know why. Joey, did you watch any of those sitcoms? You have any idea what Chris and I are talking about? Just before
TV
your time?
Land.
Well, yeah, as a kid, I was addicted to Nickelodeon.
There you
over
go.
the Disney Channel.
There you
And of
go.
course, they had Nick at Night, like around 6 o'clock. They'd switch to all those old shows. And because I was too lazy to get up and change the channel, I would just keep watching F Troop and Mama's Family. And when it got to Dragnet, I got bored and finally changed the channel.
Grew up on all of those shows.
I did too. And now I watch, I wasn't into it at first. I didn't quite get it. But the more I watched it, the more I got into it. Because I think I think Suzanne likes it, and I think the girls may watch it sometimes. The Big Bang Theory. You ever watch the Big Bang
Becky
Theory?
used to watch that religiously when it was on.
Yeah, I got into it. It's entertaining. It's always on. It's always on when I'm about to go to bed, and so I'll turn it on, set the timer on, and then usually fall asleep. And I think the characters, young, Sheldon and all that.
There's another spinoff coming of this guy Stewart, who's
another spinoff,
a tiny character on Big Bang Theory. He's getting his own show. Yeah.
Oh wow. Well, there you have it. Okay, where were we? Okay, Dr. Bob, Chris's Corner, Speaker Stump Speech. Oh, our buddy Frank Catanzaro, president of the St. Louis Young Republicans, also Senator Ben Brown's chief of staff. We've got another trivia night coming up that we are hosting with the St. Louis Young Republicans. Very exciting. That'll be on Friday, July 25th. We'll remind you of those details and tell you what you can expect at the trivia night. Talk to Frank about what's going on with the Young Republicans, and Frank and I are going to be road tripping together next week. I'm going to give him a lift over to Indianapolis. He's going over for the ALEC conference with me next week. And so that'll be exciting. I'll do a little broadcasting from ALEC. Chris and I again are going to be running all over the God's green earth. Chris is heading across the pond again. I'm heading to Indianapolis. I'll be off for a couple days, but I'll be broadcasting from ALEC on Thursday and Friday. So we'll bring you some interesting stuff about what's going on around the country from state leaders and others of that sort. So Frank will be with me. He'll be my wingman for that. And so we'll be talking to Frank about all of those things and more at 5:25. And finally, at 5:45, the moment you've all been waiting for, Joey V with his movie review of the new James Gunn produced and directed Superman.
And I told you, they bought my rating. It's 5 out of 5 because when I got to the theater at Ronnie's IMAX, they said, you get 1 free soda, 1 free popcorn, and 1 free candy. I was like, all right, I don't even need to see the movie. I just walked out, got my candy and left.
Do they usually give you snacks?
No, not really. And Warner Brothers, who distributes this film, usually doesn't even give us screenings. So that made it even better. And then, of course, it was in the IMAX theater, and that was a special treat, too. Usually it's on they just project it on the back wall, and you have to sit in your car.
That's what I heard in the previews. One of the it might have been the director. He said, this is a movie that you have to see it on the biggest screen possible, especially with the flying scenes. You need as much space or camera space or whatever to really get the
directors say that because it costs more money to see it on the bigger screens. There's good quality control with IMAX, though. They always have that number at the end that says snitch if anything happened that was not up to your liking. And I think the theaters pay extra special
So what
attention
is,
to
I
the
mean,
IMAX screen.
in the few seconds we have here, what is, besides just a bigger giant screen that's curved, what is the big deal with IMAX? Because you're always touting IMAX films. What's the big deal?
The sound is bigger and better. I guess it's just louder. They
Is
just
that
turned it up.
just, it's just louder?
They turned it up to
Okay.
11. That's what you're paying for.
Indeed.
That sounds technical.
Joey, how long is Superman?
It's 2 hours. That's the best part, too, is that most of these superhero films come out and they're like 2 hours and 40 minutes and they're so brooding. And oh my goodness, this one was just fun. 2 hours.
Okay. Well, we'll get a full review from producer Joey V at 5:45. Finally, Andrew Bailey, the Attorney General of the state of Missouri, came out with a big announcement today. He's filing a huge action to push back against the woke DEI agenda. And I believe, Joey, we're going to have him possibly on Monday. Is that the situation?
He said only if Chris will come on Monday.
Oh.
He was very upset when I told him I don't think Chris is going to be in on Monday. So we'll just trick him into calling in, and I'll pretend to be Chris.
There you go. Perfect. We'll work that in. So it's a little bit of an esoteric issue, but it has to do with the woke DEI agenda. So that's something to look forward to next week, as you always have things to look forward to here on the Tim Jones, Chris Arps Show and on News Talk STL in general. Heading into the weekend, don't turn off the dial this evening. We've got great, awesome programming throughout the entire weekend. All details, newstalkstl.com. All right, 4:23 in the p.m. Time to get to Congressman Dr. Bob Onder to speak with him about what's up next after the one big, beautiful bill. I know you're all waiting with bated breath. Don't worry. He's up next on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. 101.9, 94.1, News Talk STL.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A few isolated thunder showers, maybe heavy. We'll have to be on guard for maybe a very isolated pocket of some strong winds out of a couple of these storms, but very isolated. Most of these are just some heavy rain and lightning briefly, and they'll fade as the sun sets this evening. Then overnight, a few more storms redevelop for St. Louis, mainly near and after midnight, low of 75 degrees. Any morning storms move on. A few more may pop up in the afternoon Saturday. Better chance southeast of St. Louis, but we could get clipped by a few thunderstorms. 89 for the high Saturday. Sunday, a 30% chance for a few storms. 88 for the high. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Getting new flooring can be exciting, or it can be a hassle. To make sure you have a great experience, use Michaels Flooring, like I did. Hi, it's Susie Moore, and Michaels Flooring has become my go-to for quality, variety, and an all-around great experience. They've been locally owned and operated for more than 30 years. Carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, natural stone, luxury vinyl, it doesn't matter. Michaels Flooring is ready to help. 3 locations to pick from: St. Peter's, Darting Prairie, and Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloor.com. That's igotfloor.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
Did you know that we have a locally owned, independently owned family jewelry store right here in the St. Louis metro region that can create unique pieces for your family members and your loved ones? Newstetter's Fine Jewelers. That's the one we have. Tim Jones here to tell you all about Newstetter's. You can find them 24/7 at wilddiamonds.com. I have been there a multitude of times along with so many of my family and friends because Newstetter's is local, family-owned, and provides honest jewelry solutions. They've been doing it for well over 50 years. You can find out everything they've got at wilddiamonds.com. That's Newstetter's Fine Jewelers, wilddiamonds.com.
News Talk STL. This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Dropping truth bombs and making you think. It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
Roxanne, you don't have to put on the red light.
On the farm workers, just one more. Do you understand what President Trump means when he says the farm owners will have responsibility for the migrants who I guess get to stay even though they don't have status?
I can tell you that there's a lot of people talking, Department of Labor, Department of Agriculture, Department of Homeland Security, talking about options. Nothing's been settled, and I'm not going to get ahead of the president. Whatever the president decides, it's his decision, but we're nowhere near that. I can tell you one thing, though. One thing I'm reading in the media that's not true, there will be no amnesty.
427 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. And one thing about Secretary Holman there, he is a straight shooter and tells you exactly how it's going to be. Tim, I'm glad we have our next guest on the line because I want to get his thoughts on that and the federal judge in New Hampshire who gave class action status to President Trump's birthright citizenship proposal. He's on the line. Let's talk with him.
Dr. Bob Onder, Congressman for Missouri's 3rd District.
We're calling Dr. Bob. We're calling Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob.
Dr. Bob, how are you, sir?
It is great to be back. I'm doing great.
Dr. Bob, for us lay people who don't know the law as well, we're kind of confused. We're like, wasn't there a Supreme Court decision last week that said that these nationwide injunctions are unconstitutional by these district judges? And then we see that happening in this case. Can you help clarify that for us?
Well, I'm not sure I can clarify it. I think you saw correctly that the Supreme Court decided, just about a week or two ago that that this practice of universal injunctions or nationwide injunctions, where one federal district judge issues a ruling not on just behalf of the parties before him or her, but on behalf of the whole country, usurping the legitimate Article 2 powers of the president. Excuse me, of the President of the United States. The Supreme Court was very clear on that issue, and as I put it, the rogue activist judges have decided to replace universal injunctions with nationwide class actions. It's just completely ridiculous. And I assume that the appellate courts, the Court of Appeals, or the U.S. Supreme Court will strike down this judge's ruling very promptly. But it is utterly ridiculous that every time President Trump exercises his legitimate powers as president of the United States, cases have to go all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. It's utterly absurd. This issue was settled, and this judge, quite frankly, ought to be impeached.
Yeah, because Bob, the point should be made here, right? That elected officials, like judges, who are nothing more than lawyers who put on robes, I guess, instead of pants. Hopefully they have pants on too. But Bob, they take an oath. They take an oath, just like every similar elected official or appointed official, to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America and of whatever state they happen to sit in. Bob, I'm having a tough time figuring out how these judges are complying with the oath that they took in continuing to defend at all odds and at all times illegal aliens who are in this country illegally. I'm not sure what these judges don't understand about that.
Yeah, well, I think they view their role very differently. You're right, Tim. Every elected official, including you and I, when we were in the Missouri House together, we took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the state of Missouri. In fact, it was sometimes driving me crazy when we would raise a constitutional objection to a bill in front of us. sometimes you would hear back from the bill sponsor, well, that's up to the courts to decide. No, we took an oath to act constitutionally, but all the more so judges who are, of course, not all of our colleagues in the Missouri General Assembly were lawyers. You and I were, but not all were. But judges are all lawyers, and they usually have many years of legal experience by the time they get to the bench. They, more than anyone, should understand where the legitimate boundaries of their power are. Our founders considered the judiciary the least dangerous branch of government because it had neither the executive power nor the power of the purse. But all of a sudden, we have these activist leftist judges who think they are more powerful than the president of the United States. And it's utterly ridiculous. It's got to be put to an end. And, if Supreme Court rulings can't get these folks straight, well, then they just need to be removed.
Speaking with Dr. Bob Onder, Congressman for Missouri's 3rd District. Congressman, I know you have not been there very long, but you have been a follower of Washington. And as you know, it seems to work on drama. We have the big, beautiful bill drama that has passed, of course. But now we have about 80 days until FY 2026 government funding deadline comes up. The House has 20 more days before the headline. The Senate is set to leave at the end of this month. What do you foresee coming up on that critical deadline?
Well, we badly need to return to the practice of regular order where the House passes 12 budget bills and sends them over to the Senate, and then the Senate considers those, and we work out the final fiscal year budget. But I hate to say, with time running as short as it is, I seriously doubt that will get done this year, and I think we'll be looking, unfortunately, at another continuing resolution. But in defense of our appropriators, I am not on the Appropriations Committee. In defense of our appropriators, really a lot of time has been consumed by the big, beautiful bill. I'm not entirely surprised we are where we are. But, the one good thing about a continuing resolution is that, at least in theory, we keep spending flat. We don't increase spending. But a lot of us feel that, that the spending is already way the heck too high. And that's where these rescission bills come in. And I sure hope that the very modest rescission package that we passed in the U.S. House, where we defunded NPR, PBS, and some ridiculous foreign aid programs, I sure hope that the Senate can get that rescission package done and at least save that $9.4 billion in taxpayer money.
Congressman, many are suggesting a rare occurrence in Washington that if the government does shut down, Democrats for once will be blamed for it. It seems to be the Republicans have the momentum in this instance for once.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think the reason Republicans are usually blamed is Democrats want to spend a lot of money, a lot more money usually than Republicans, and they want to spend a lot of money on some ridiculous things. So it's usually Republicans saying no to appropriation bills or to continuing resolutions. But in this era of Trump, where President Trump has this way of bringing us together and pulling in the same direction, if we Republicans can stick together and pass a fiscally conservative continuing resolution and lay it in the lap of the Democrats and see what they'll do about it. The Democrats are the party of big government, the federal employee workforce. Not everyone, but it tends to be Democrat. And so really Democrats fear that being blamed for a shutdown more than we Republicans do, because I think most of us Republicans see what happens when the government shuts down. Social Security checks still go out. Medicare and Medicaid payments still go out. Our military men and women, they get paid. Our retirees get paid. And, so what really happens, some bureaucrats end up being off of work a few days, and to make it painful on people on vacation, they always shut down the federal parks, which is kind of ridiculous. So, but I think if there is a shutdown, it will likely be the fault of Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, and not Republicans.
Indeed. Bob, how about Reconciliation 2? I heard several comments from Speaker Johnson this week that he fully intends to chart a course towards a second reconciliation package. Are you hearing the same things from your colleagues inside the caucus and from the Speaker's office? And what subject matters might you all pursue if that is actually the case?
Yeah, we've been hearing the same thing. We've been out of session, so I haven't been directly interacting with the speaker. But yeah, we're hearing he would like to do a reconciliation bill in the fall and again in the spring. We covered a lot of topics, of course, in the current reconciliation bill. I really think that further reconciliation bills should be, focused on cutting spending. And we cut $1.6 trillion over 10 years of mandatory spending in the big beautiful bill, but I don't think that's nearly enough. I think we're taking another bite at that apple would be a very good idea. And I think some of the policy changes, like defunding Planned Parenthood, we defunded Planned Parenthood only temporarily in the big beautiful bill, and the House attempted to defund transgender so-called treatments in the big beautiful bill, but the Senate parliamentarian said no to both of those things. I think I would like to see another reconciliation bill, but with a new parliamentarian, not a Harry Reid appointed activist Democrat parliamentarian, so that we could get those policies across. Also, modifying the National Firearms Act to allow suppressors and short-barreled rifles to be, possessed by law-abiding citizens without regulation, without excessive tax. In the big beautiful bill, we got rid of the tax, but the regulation and the registration is still in place in current law. That needs to be fixed because it is a violation of our Second Amendment rights.
Congressman, as you know, Congress has until July 18th, next Friday, to pass the White House's $9 billion plus rescissions package. Some of the committee chairs, Susan Collins and Mitch McConnell, have some issues with it, along with Murkowski, and even Mike Rounds of South Dakota. They have issues with some of the public broadcasting cuts. Your thoughts on where this will end up next week?
For heaven's sakes, any of your listeners who listen to NPR for 5 minutes will know the extreme bias of that network. I don't think since President Trump walked down the elevator in 2016, I have heard an NPR reporter, so-called report on Donald Trump without using the word falsely claimed or claimed without evidence or asserted ridiculously. I mean, the NPR and PBS have become arms of the Democrat National Committee. The idea that we taxpayers should be paying for government radio is utterly ridiculous. The few things that consumers actually like Big Bird and Elmo and Downton Abbey, those things are commercially viable. They should be sold off to the private sector. The rest of it should just be shuttered. There's no reason we should be forced to pay for that. And I don't know why any Republican is standing up to defend, PBS.
Congressman, when you get back next week, we've discussed a lot of things that are on the docket. What about your legislation? You have filed a number of bills, and I think several of them are actually moving steadily through the House process. As we know, they may go to die a slow death in the Senate, but got to get them through the House first. So thought we'd give you an opportunity to give us an update, give the listeners an update on important legislation you filed this year.
Yeah, one thing I'm working on that's already been passed out of committee is known as the Space Act, and that has nothing to do with outer space, but rather I'm on the vice chair of one of the House committees pertaining to infrastructure, and we know that many federal buildings are underutilized. In fact, of 12, according to the GAO, 12 headquarters out of 15, I believe, in Washington, D.C., are occupied 20% or less by the federal agencies. This is the case around the country. And we have a opportunity for huge savings if we work on things like consolidating, co-locating. There's no reason, two or that 2 or 3 or 5 agencies can't share the same space, which could save really tens of billions of dollars for the U.S. taxpayer. I'm working on a couple of bills that have deal with the problem of illegal immigration via visa overstaying, like the Timely Departure Act, that would crack down on that. We've seen recently, including the attack, the anti-Semitic attack by the illegal immigrant in Boulder, Colorado. We see more and more crimes being committed by illegal aliens who didn't cross the border illegally, but rather came on a tourist or student visa and then illegally overstayed. I think that is just as important a part of interior enforcement as is dealing with the folks who crossed the border illegally.
And sadly, earlier this year, we had the police officer who was hit and killed while patrolling a traffic accident by an illegal immigrant who was drunk at the time. So this is a problem, and I'm glad your legislation is there to address that.
Yeah, in my own district, there was one illegal alien. He was of Middle Eastern origin. He had overstayed a tourist visa, and he sexually assaulted two young women in my district in St. Charles County. One night he was driving an Uber. The other day he was driving a Lyft. What he was even doing driving an Uber or a Lyft, he shouldn't have had a driver's license. He probably didn't. He was probably illegally using someone else's. So, when we talk about, so-called law-abiding illegal aliens, they're all breaking the law by being illegally present in the country. But just to be here, they often engage in various forms of identity fraud, fraud, driving without licenses, driving using someone else's driver's license. So, we really have an enormous problem with lawlessness. And I am very happy that we have President Trump and Tom Homan and Kristi Noem, running the government, the law enforcement apparatus in this area.
And that is Dr. Bob Onder. He joins us every Friday afternoon. He's the congressman for Missouri's 3rd District. His website is onder.house.gov, and on X, Bob Onder MO. Congressman, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to speaking with you again next Friday.
Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. All right. And Chris's Corner, Mahmoud Khalil. Remember him? He was the Columbia campus activist. He's suing the Trump administration for a lot of money, and I'll tell you why on the Chris's Corner. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
You don't have to wear that dress tonight. Walk the streets for money. You don't care if it's wrong or if it's right.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
Yes, I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A few isolated thunder showers, maybe heavy. We'll have to be on guard for maybe a very isolated pocket of some strong winds out of a couple of these storms, but very isolated. Most of these are just some heavy rain and lightning briefly, and they'll fade as the sun sets this evening. Then overnight, a few more storms redevelop for St. Louis, mainly near and after midnight, low of 75 degrees. Any morning storms move on. A few more may pop up in the afternoon Saturday. Better chance southeast of St. Louis, but we could get clipped by a few thunderstorms. 89 for the high Saturday. Sunday, a 30% chance for a few storms. 88 for the high. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Lawfare against the president in the courtrooms and tariffs hitting your pocketbook. We've got a lot of questions for Congressman Bob Onder on Monday. That's at 7:35.
Morning starting at 5:30 on News Talk STL.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Columbo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com. This is Tony Colombo, and my favorite Capriati sandwich is the cheesesteak made with American Wagyu beef from Snake River Farms, and you have to include a side of their amazing fries. I love Capriati's, and you will too.
Open 9 to 9 daily on Manchester and McKnight in Rock Hill.
Hey, it's Vic. If you have a tree that you think is dead, you can get Roots Plus to remove it for you. Or if you think the tree is savable, or if Roots Plus thinks it's savable, they can save your tree and you keep your cash. Call them and find out what that's all about at 314-440-3662. The crews are great. They get things done. They removed the tree for me, and they did expert work, and I definitely will put my name on their company. So save the tree with Roots Plus LLC. RootsPlusLLC.com.
Attention all gun enthusiasts. Don't miss the big Franklin County Gun Show happening July 11th through 13th at Washington, Missouri's Elks Lodge. With over 450 tables of pistols, handguns, rifles, long guns, shotguns, ammo, and more. The fun starts Friday, July 11th at 4 and continues all weekend. Admission just $10 and good for the entire weekend. Gets 1,200 get in free with discounts for veterans and first responders. The big Franklin County Gun Show at the Washington, Missouri Elks Lodge the weekend of July 11th. More info at bkpromotions.us.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps, driving the leftist crazy all afternoon.
This morning, the tense confrontation, protesters attacking federal vehicles after immigration raids in California. The masked agents had shown up at a cannabis farm in Ventura County, northwest of LA. Men seen lined up against the wall with heavily armed agents and at least one person appearing to be under arrest. Federal agents setting off smoke canisters to disperse the crowds. The FBI now offering a $50,000 reward for information on the person who appeared to fire a gun at law enforcement.
449 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. And Tim, the one thing that I've never understood about these type of protests, the Michael Brown protests, the George Floyd protests such as these, when you are breaking the law and you're causing mayhem and you are rioting and you are vandalizing property, how is that supposed to bring the public to your side and to your cause? Am I missing something here? Because I just can't put it together.
You know, Chris, if it's treasonous to walk into the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, isn't it also a problem to do all the things that you just mentioned? I mean, you can't have it both ways, right? But they seem like they should be considered freedom and justice fighters. I don't think the American people are buying it. I think people have had it with the fake grassroots riots. These aren't peaceful protesters.
And let's break this down here. Allegedly, this pot farm was employing illegal aliens who were children, underage workers. So these
slave labor, some would say, child labor. Yeah.
So these people are protesting because they want to keep child labor in the pot industry. They want to have the Mexican drug cartels having even more incentive to traffic in young girls and young boys for the sex trade and to cultivate marijuana. Michael Savage had an interesting phrase for it, and it was the title of one of his books, and it's liberal logic. What is it? Liberalism is a mental disorder.
Yes.
And when you see what's happening with some of these folks, definitely that's it. All right, Joey, let's get into a little Carner.
Chris.
And if you don't know, now you know. And now, Chris's Corner.
Speaking of people who aren't grateful for being America, Columbia campus activist Mahmoud Khalil, you remember him. He was arrested leading protests. He was sent to a migrant detention camp in Louisiana. He was released, and now he is back being an activist again. He is suing the Trump administration for $20 million on the grounds that he was falsely imprisoned. And Tim, get your handkerchief out.
Oh, boy.
He missed the birth of his son. So,
yeah,
it is what it is when you're kind of breaking the law.
Maybe don't break the law.
Yeah.
Try not
exactly.
to. Try not to.
Speaking of illegal immigrants, Linda McMahon, boy, for someone who is eliminating her agency, she is doing a bang-up job. She has rescinded Clinton-era technical education grants for illegal immigrants. Yes, Department of Education Secretary Linda McMahon yesterday rescinded former President Bill Clinton's policy that allowed taxpayer money to subsidize illegal immigrants seeking career, technical, and adult education grants. McMahon made the change to prioritize U.S. citizens for federal post-secondary education programs. Quote, under President Trump's leadership, hardworking American taxpayers no longer fit the bill for illegal aliens to participate in our career, technical, or adult education programs or activities. Who would have ever thought that this was a good idea, giving illegal immigrants education in order to be able to, one, undercut Americans' wages, and two, undercut an American trying to secure a job? Absolutely insane. All right. Big news of today. We've talked about it on our threads here, station threads. Dan Bongino, who of course had a show here on News Talk STL before he became the deputy FBI director. Axios has a story said that he is clashing with Attorney General Bondi over the handling of the Epstein files. He said, quote, Bongino didn't come to work today, and it's leading some insiders to believe he had quit, but administration officials say he's still on the job, even as the internal tension over the Epstein case, the oversight, according to three sources. Bongino found the video with the missing minute, and that was the controversy. The Bondi was explaining that there was this missing portion of the tape because every hour the machine resets itself, and so for a minute there is nothing on the tape. I can hear the conspiracy theory people now, like, Rob. Bongino found the video with the missing minute. He vouched for it after, quote unquote, a thorough review. He said this would end the matter. When that didn't work, he lost his mind and ran out of D.C. People that are close to Bongino, according to this Axios article, are saying that he's done, that he will not come back to the administration. I think Bongino knew that he was not going to be forever in administration, and he eventually wanted to come back and resume his radio career. And Tim, I just think that his career and his credibility has taken an incredible hit with this Epstein affair. And I think what happened today of him not coming to work is kind of damage control of his reputation to show that he is not a lapdog for trying to cover this up, that he has his own mind. And I think this is a little Dan Bongino image control more than anything else. We shall see. Monday, will he come to work? Is he done? We shall see. And that is Chris's Corner.
I mean,
your thoughts?
Bongino was one of the biggest guys, one of the biggest voices who called out a lot of these things that are now seeming to turn a little sour. And so I think Dan's a guy that, look, we had this saying in the legislature, all you got is your word. Mm-hmm. And if Dan gave his word on certain things and those things are not coming to fruition, he's the kind of guy that can walk away and then write a tell-all book about what he learned. He's a multimillionaire. He's extremely successful. They're literally holding the radio slot for him if he wants to return. And so if he does end up resigning, I think that speaks 1,000 words as to what might be going on. This is a bad look. I think everybody's been very nervous about Bondi from the very beginning, and it's now kind of yielding that fruit.
Yeah. I don't want to pick on any individual, one person or an individual. I really do. And like I said, I'm not a conspiracy person, but in order for this to be suppressed at this level, there are a lot of people that this would hurt, including Prince Andrew, who's been named in these files, all kind of President Clinton, all kind of high profile people. I just think more than anything, the powers that be of this country, the dark state, the deep state, whatever you want to call it, has said that there are too many high profile people on this list, and this could be dangerous for the country. If this is released, the scandal would be so big. I really think it is that more than anything. And I'm not saying you're doing it, but I'm saying some other people. But I don't want to see. I hate seeing her being thrown under
Chris,
under the bus.
You have to admit, her messaging on this has been horrible. She said there was a list and she was going to release it, and now she's saying there's no list.
And I think, and that goes back to what I'm saying. I think there is a list. I think these people, including Bongino, Bondi, and all these people, have been told, do not release this list, period. Somebody has to be the fall guy for this. Unfortunately, it looked like it's going to be Bondi.
And she lied to the American people then. That's devastating.
All right, Speaker Stump Speech 507.
Moving on out.
Frank Catanzaro, and then Joey's going to review Superman. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hi, Sean Long from STL Fenceworks. A new fence or deck is an investment in your home and your lifestyle. But how do you ensure that you're getting the most out of that investment? At STL Fenceworks, we know the key is satisfaction. Satisfaction means getting a fence or deck that not only meets your needs, but exceeds your expectations. Satisfaction means working with a team that cares about your project as much as you do. Satisfaction means having confidence in the quality of your new fence or deck, knowing that it was built with the best of materials and workmanship. STL Fenceworks, your satisfaction is our passion. And for me, satisfaction is knowing that providing for your family is how I provide for mine. Visit STLFenceworks.com and experience the satisfaction in making your backyard dreams into a reality.
Is your portfolio prepared for the biggest risks facing investors today? Hi, it's Tim Jones. High inflation and a rapidly changing economy may impact your investments. If you haven't made appropriate changes, your portfolio may not be positioned to address some of the biggest risks in today's economy. That means it's time to request your free portfolio review from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on News Talk STL 101.9. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create a portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free portfolio review, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at...
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump visited the Texas Hill Country, where at least 120 people died as a result of flash flooding over the July 4th weekend. The search goes on for the missing. Fredericksburg, Texas Fire Marshal Reagan Rapke says the search for flood victims is a painstaking process.
When I say piles, we're talking about debris piles 20, 30 feet high that are big enough to have a whole RV still in them and not be seen. That's a massive amount of debris that we're trying to clear, and we have heavy equipment working, and we're having to dig through it by hand as well. Just because the machines can go through it, we have to be very methodical about what we're doing.
That audio courtesy KSAT. At least 160 are still reported missing. The State Department is being hit with mass layoffs. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
More than 1,300 civil servants and foreign service officers are being fired in a major reorganization of the agency. Secretary of State Rubio defends the job cuts.
Our reduction in force was done, I'm very proud to say, I would argue probably in the most deliberate way of anyone that's done one.
The layoffs are not immediate. Most civil servants will lose their jobs after a 60-day separation period. Foreign service officers will be let go after they're placed on administrative leave for 120 days. Greg Clugston, Washington.
President Trump says the United States is selling weapons to its NATO allies in Europe so they can provide them to Ukraine as it struggles to fend off a recent escalation in Russia's drone and missile attacks. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 279 points. More at townhall.com.
If you're living with pain, see how Relief Factor can help.
I'm an artist and I'm in my studio. I listen to the radio all day and I'm hearing the ads about Relief Factor. And I've got pain in my neck and it's getting worse. And I'm thinking, well, I'm going to go ahead and order this. 2 weeks later, I've got much better range of motion. If you're experiencing pain at a certain point in life, I would get Relief Factor.
Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor. Go to ReliefFactor.com and get your 3-week quick start today. Only $19.95.
At Progressive, we understand the bond you have with your boat. It's why people name theirs.
I named my boat Sure Don't. Get it? The other day when my friend said, "Hey, Larry, you want to head back in? It looks like it might rain." I said, "Sure don't." I guess they didn't get it because they didn't laugh.
Whatever you call your boat, protect it by insuring it with Progressive, America's #1 boat insurer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. #1 rating based on boat market share data from ratefilings.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A few isolated thunder showers, maybe heavy. We'll have to be on guard for maybe a very isolated pocket of some strong winds out of a couple of these storms, but very isolated. Most of these are just some heavy rain and lightning briefly, and they'll fade as the sun sets this evening. Then overnight, a few more storms redevelop for St. Louis, mainly near and after midnight, low of 75 degrees. Any morning storms move on. A few more may pop up in the afternoon Saturday. Better chance southeast of St. Louis, but we could get clipped by a few thunderstorms. 89 for the high Saturday. Sunday, a 30% chance for a few storms. 88 for the high. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for my good friend Harry Parker and the ultimate seafood dining experience at Gulf Shores, GulfShoresRestaurantandGrill.com. Gulf Shores offering a unique dining experience with a vast, mouth-watering menu of all of your favorite delicious dishes, something for everyone's taste or palate. 3 convenient locations, Edwardville, Creve Coeur, and St. Peter's. Dine in, carry out. They've got a food truck, too. Friendly staff looking forward to seeing you, making your dining experience one you will remember. Gulf Shores Restaurantandgrill.com.
Hey, Chris Cooper here, and this week on Serenity Wealth Now Radio, we've got very special guest, News Talk STL's very own Jeff Allen joins us in the studio. We're going to talk a little bit about what makes News Talk STL so successful in serving the St. Louis community and what's going on in the local radio scene. So tune in right here, News Talk STL, Sunday morning, 9 a.m., and always on SerenityWealthNow.com and social media outlets.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC. If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here? As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
And today, the president is also renewing calls for Fed Reserve Chair Jerome Powell to lower interest rates.
I think he's doing a terrible job. I think we should be, I think we should be 3 points lower interest rate. He's costing our country a lot of money. We should be number one, and we're not. And that's because of Jerome Powell. In terms of interest, we are number one in the world.
I think over 3 points.
3 points.
We're
Wow.
in negative territory. That's typical Trump, isn't he? He goes for the moon. He goes for Mars and he hopes he gets to the moon. But he does have a point, I think, about that. And I think Powell just doesn't like Donald Trump. I think there's a lot of politics in his decision making. Welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. I'm going to talk, Chris, about a lot of economic. Play that clip because I'm going to talk about some economic stuff, not related to interest rates, but related to how money moves around the country. We'll get
Money
to that.
moves. Take the money moves.
We'll get to that in just a second. And then at 5:25, we're going to welcome Frank Catanzaro back into the show. Everybody knows Frank. Frank is the chief of staff to the good Senator Ben Brown, Chris, who had a bill signed this week.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
In the governor's office. Yeah, I mean, Ben Brown is becoming nationally known, I'll tell you, in the election integrity world. You probably hear his name a lot with the stuff that you do with non-citizen voting prohibitions. And this year, Ben decided to go after another problem, and that's all the foreign money that flows, the foreign funding that flows into Missouri every single time we have on these ballot initiatives. I know some of these ballot initiatives are popular because they sound good, and then they do a lot of damage to our state after they're chosen by the people. But unfortunately, a lot of that is because of these deceptive ads. And it seems like, Chris, the left has an unending supply of multi-millions of dollars to try to convince people to vote for stuff on the ballot that they otherwise, I'm serious, if they knew the whole story, they probably wouldn't hit the yes button.
Yeah, I was very surprised after Amendment 3 passed that we learned that foreign money was involved for some Swedish billionaire. And I thought our election laws were tightened enough that there's no way that anybody that was a foreigner could contribute to our elections, influence on our elections, and it happened. So I'm glad that because of that incident, I think that is what influenced Senator Brown to offer this legislation. And congratulations to him for getting it passed and signed this week.
In the first year that he attempted it, he is a legislator's legislator. Listen to this guy's name, Chris, this Swiss billionaire you referred to. He's like,
Good luck.
He's like right out of a James Bond villain movie, right? His name is Hans-Jörg Wyss.
Hans-Jörg Wyss.
Hans-Jörg Wyss. Doesn't that sounds like a Bond villain?
It does.
It does indeed. He is the Swiss version of George Soros.
That's scary.
I don't know where these guys come from. I don't know how they get billions of dollars. And I don't know why with their billions of dollars, they want to take down the United States of America. They really are. They're like real live supervillains. They really are. They don't like that our country won't accept the whole New World Order, World Economic Forum crap.
I've posited a theory on that. I think that the United States is the last bastion of freedom, economic freedom, and social freedom in the world, and that we're the last bastion before there is a new world order, and that the United States has to be destroyed in order to have the one world order government. And that's why you have George Soros. He is funding Kim Gardner type prosecutors so we can have anarchy in our streets. It's all by design because they want the country to collapse. So another government comes in or whatever, and there's just one government. Boy, I'm sounding super conspiratorial today. I know that.
I don't think that's conspiratorial at all, Chris. When you look at, I wish people, every time. So, the left says we can't criticize George Soros because apparently he's a Hungarian Jew. And anytime you bring up George Soros, you anti-Semite, but they have no problem with the Mooj on these college campuses, literally attacking Jewish students. Once again, the hypocrisy of the left. But I think you're right. I mean, folks, do your own research. Look up George Soros and look at what he's done. He has literally collapsed the economies of small countries because he made his billions out of being a currency manipulator. That's what he did. And I don't know much about Wyss because he's a newer cat on the scene, but I'm sure he's got some nefarious issues in his past as well. Speaking, Chris, about a guy who knows a lot about these issues, a lot of business and economic issues, we are partnering once again with the Hammond Institute at Lindenwood University Thursday, September 18th, 2025, we're bringing in the famous Steve
Yes.
Forbes. I think if I'm in town, I'm going to see that. I really have been a fan of Steve Forbes. I love watching him on all the business networks. I think he's a great guy. He's a happy warrior.
Presidential campaigns.
That's right. Yeah, presidential candidate. He's a happy warrior.
He is.
I love the way he talks about very complicated economic and finance issues and makes them understandable. How can you get tickets? Well, first of all, you better get tickets fast because they're going extremely quickly. Joey, I think we're like half already, like half the tickets are gone already or something like that.
Yeah, I sent out the newsletter and people just started getting them. They sucked them up. Is that the right term? That may not be the best thing.
It's fine. Thursday, I know it's ways out, but get your tickets now, folks. Do not wait till the last minute because they're probably going to be gone. We can't put more people than we have seats for in the auditorium at Lindenwood, the Schneidiger Center. Thursday, September 18th, 7 to 8:30 p.m. This is an in-person live event featuring Steve Forbes in the flesh. And even though it's a ways out, I'm going to guarantee there's going to be a number of us, News Talk STL personalities and producers, and all of the other famous people here, like producer Joey V, will likely be at this great event September the 18th. So you should check it out. Go to newstalkstl.com, newstalkstl.com. The St. Louis Young Republicans Trivia Night information is on there. The Vic for Vets ongoing campaign effort is on there, along with a ton of other stuff. The Wall That Heals event, which is next week, is on there. You need to go to newstalkstl.com over the weekend and catch up on all the amazing opportunities and appearances and promotions that we've got coming up.
And
We're a busy station.
And the Scheidegger Center. That's how you say that. Scheidegger Center?
Schneidiger?
Schneidiger. I never knew how to say it.
I'm not going to say it as a white guy. The way you said it.
I'm going to say Schwarzenegger.
Schwarzenegger. Producer Joey V is featured. Of course, he's featured every day. And today, he's going to be super featured in the 545 segment. Joey, you're going to review the James Gunn Superman.
Yeah, and Chris doesn't want to be here for that, so I don't
He'll
know
listen
why.
in the car.
Hey, you know what?
What
I end up doing? I'll listen to the podcast later on newstalkstl.com.
Great point.
Damn right.
Great point. News Talk STL, the app. Chris, I was with, I don't know, somebody the other day, and they were like, hey, so it was somebody from a little bit out of the area, and they're like, so I used to listen to you, and they mentioned the old station. I'm like, I've been gone for 4 years. I said, okay, here's where I am now. I showed them the app. I taught them how to use it, and they downloaded it on their phone. So
fantastic.
Picking up listeners one at a time and reminding them that neither you, nor I, nor Tony, nor Jamie, nor anybody else here is at the old station. That was 4 years ago. It's amazing, isn't it?
People have said, no, I was wondering where you guys went.
And didn't go anywhere. Here we are. We stream on a bazillion different platforms. Joey hooks that up every day. Joey, do you have like a big plug that you plug in somewhere and we stream on all these platforms? Is that how that works?
Let's get into it. We pay this company called StreamYard to go to 8 different locations at once if we want.
Wow.
But there's other free versions. Like I've also used Restream. I could send it to 2 locations with that one. So just whatever app you want to use. But StreamYard is the one that we use.
StreamYard's the one that people know the most about. I use that occasionally.
Well, that's probably because you trust everything Katie Fitzpatrick tells you. And she's the one that's
right.
That's right. StreamYard.
It's good to hear from her today on the text.
We were on a text string and we heard from good old Katie Fitzpatrick. Hope she's doing well. She may be listening to us right now.
On the text thread, Vic said, no matter what happens to Bongino, I'm not giving that hour back.
And he was serious as a heart attack.
Yes,
too.
he is. Vic's not.
like, I am not giving that hour up.
He's planted the Porcelli flag firmly in the ground. Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram are where you can watch Chris and I and Joey. We're on camera right now. Hello, everybody. You can chat with each other. Sometimes we chat with you back when we're not overly focused. And I just got a text message from a listener, Joe, who said, 4 years. Holy.
Yes.
He said, holy, you know what, dude. I still listen on the app. It works great. Thank you, listener Joe. Great to hear from you this afternoon. Let's see. We're going to do the Speaker Stump Speech in just a moment. And then we've got Frank Catanzaro coming up, talking about all the Young Republican stuff, including the trivia night on Friday, July 25th. And then Joey V with the movie review. After that, of course, is Larry Connors. Larry doesn't take Fridays off. No way, Jose. He'll be joining the stream and everything else in the app at 6:05. Taking you into the evening hours. All right, I better stop yapping here and get to the business at hand. Let's do today's Speaker Stump Speech, which is titled Moving On Out.
Listen to me, listen to me.
I'm very consistent.
I'm a very stable genius.
It's time for the Speaker's Stump Speech, sponsored by Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com.
What the heck am I talking about? I'm talking about the fact that people are continuing to move around the country. You're like, well, that's no news flash, Jones. Tell me something I don't know. Well, I think it's always good to remind everyone, especially the liberal listeners we have, and we know we have them because you go after us on all of our platforms and all that, but you keep listening. So maybe eventually you'll learn something. The exodus from blue states to red states is continuing in mass. Did you realize? Yeah, the station's 4 years old. COVID is now over 5 years old. And that was one of the things that really accelerated the blue state to red state migration. But let me tell you, that blue state to red state migration, it's been going on for about 2 decades now. Entire books have been written about it. Our good friends at ALEC, Jonathan Williams, publishes Rich States, Poor States every year with Stephen Moore and Dr. Art Laffer of the Laffer Curve. And they highlight this subject. The left ignores it. The media doesn't report on it, except common sense conservative media like us and some of the other cable networks. But it's factual. And we can base it on facts that are published from things that are incontrovertible. And that is moving statistics, right? We can literally show you where people are moving from and to. And this isn't from some, the left might say, well, this is all just a bunch of right-wing think tank propaganda. I don't think United Van Lines or U-Haul consider themselves right-wing think tanks. They're just moving companies. They take money from liberals, from conservatives, from agnostics, and from everybody in between. We always talk about the U-Haul index at the end of the year. I think it's great that these come out at 2 different times. So the U-Haul index generally comes out at the end of the year. And I remember we discussed that a few times, and it was a big story this year because Illinois is bleeding people in mass. Even though they're a smaller state, I think per capita, they're leading the nation, even above California and New York. Well, United Van Lines comes out with their statistics mid-year. And so we can see, hey, where are we? Take the temperature of the nation. Midway through the fiscal year or the actual calendar year. From our good friends at United, at a Committee to Unleash Prosperity, they point out that United Van Lines has published their data this year on where American households are moving to and from. Before I give you the 5 worst states with the largest exodus percentage, I bet that if I asked you to name a few of them, a few states would immediately come to mind. And guess what? I hate to tell you, because we don't wish ill on any of these states, but they've got to change their policies if they want to keep their people. None of these states are going to be a surprise to you. Coming in at number 5 is, as Grover Norquist says, his home state of Massachusetts. Massachusetts is the 5th worst state that has lost the most people over the last year. Number 4, I can't believe they're not number 1. California comes in at number 4. The once mighty Empire State of New York comes in at number 3. Illinois is at number 2. And the state with the largest exodus percentage is the once mighty state of New Jersey. Now, I don't know if there's much difference between these 5 or not. They didn't break it all out. There's probably not. But there you go. New Jersey, Illinois, New York, California, Massachusetts. What do those states have in common? They are all deep blue states. I believe they currently have blue trifectas that are in their governor's mansions and that run their House and their Senate. So there's no surprise that they are doing the craziest of the cray-cray, as the kids might say. The latest data does contain some surprises. And, you always have anomalies, right? And that's where the left will say, yeah, but look, this one red state has people leaving it. Well, of course, not every red state is perfect. The big kahunas of Texas and Florida and the Carolinas and Tennessee, they seem to get it the best. But there are some red states on the edges that don't do as well. But there's also some states that used to be the butt of every joke that have really advanced because of some recent policy positions they've adopted. How about the fact that West Virginia, has the highest proportion of people moving into their state from other states. So they lead on net domestic migrants inward. West Virginia, which by various measures is among the poorest states, is also joined with traditionally backwater states that the left loves to make fun of, such as Alabama, which is 6th highest on people moving in, and Arkansas at number 9. Why have these states gone from the butt of jokes to now states that are starting to lead the pack? Well, they've got aggressive governors like Sarah Huckabee Sanders, just to our south, that are doing things like cutting income taxes, promoting universal education reform, and others. Now, Delaware did rank 2nd at 64%, and that's a weird one, right? Until you consider what's around Delaware. There's a lot of people in the suburbs and the exurbs of the big blue states of New York and New Jersey and even purple Pennsylvania. They don't want to move too far out of the East Coast, so they moved to Delaware, which is comparatively better. I didn't say it was great, but it's comparatively better. Delaware is getting influx migration from Washington, D.C., from Baltimore, and from Philadelphia that are just loaded with crime and epic failure. United Van Lines considers states with 55% or more inbound states as high inbound and 55% or less outbound moves as high outbound. And when you look at the map, the worst outbound states, the ones I just mentioned, California, New York, New Jersey, Illinois. You look at the biggest blue states, and you've got the Carolinas in there. You've got both North and South Carolina. You've got West Virginia. You've got Alabama, and you even have good old Arkansas. If Missouri continues to do less and not more as far as cutting taxes and education reform, we're going to get quickly left behind. We're right in the middle, as we are in a lot of things, including our geographic location. We're kind of a gray color on this map. We're not yellow, so we're not bad, but we're not blue either. So we have a lot of room for improvement. And the way to do that is to look at the states around us that are doing well and do have that massive net in migration. And we got to ask ourselves, what are we doing to keep up with, I can't believe it, the good old state of Arkansas? And that's the speaker's stump speech for today. A governor makes a big difference in a state.
It does. And I'm sure a lot of those folks that are leaving these high tax blue states are conservatives that are fleeing for tax haven bastions like Florida and Texas. But, there are also probably liberals that are moving to, and there's always the great fear that they will, even though they're fleeing these high tax states, that they'll still take that same mentality of taxing the rich to these red states and help destroy their economies.
Bring your prosperity with you. Leave your bad policies behind.
Exactly.
Indeed. All right, we're going to be back with Frank Catanzaro. Chris, I want to wish you all the best and safest of travels. You're going to do a London calling.
We're going to London
for
the next 5 days. I hope there is no war breaks out.
I hope not either, my friend. Otherwise, we're going to wonder about you.
Exactly.
I hope you can call in, and you're going to be a lot shorter time zone difference.
You know what? I'm going to call in for speakers for Chris's Corner.
Do that.
It'll only be 12:45 in the morning.
It'll be great to hear from you. You and Becky travel safe and well. We'll be back, Joey and I will, with Frank Catanzaro, and then Joey's movie review of Superman when we return. Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Up in the sky, look, it's a bird, it's a plane.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
Believe it or not, I started to worry. Wondered if I had enough class. But it was Saturday night. I guess that makes it all right. You say, baby, I ain't got enough gas. Oh yeah, leaving, come back. Baby, your mind's too fast.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A few isolated thunder showers, maybe heavy. We'll have to be on guard for maybe a very isolated pocket of some strong winds out of a couple of these storms, but very isolated. Most of these are just some heavy rain and lightning briefly, and they'll fade as the sun sets this evening. Then overnight, a few more storms redevelop for St. Louis, mainly near and after midnight, low of 75 degrees. Any morning storms move on. A few more may pop up in the afternoon Saturday. Better chance southeast of St. Louis, but we could get clipped by a few thunderstorms. 89 for the high Saturday. Sunday, a 30% chance for a few storms. 88 for the high. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Hey everybody, it's your buddy Todd Showalter from the Right Mind Show, along with my buddy Joey V. And remember, we're not on just Saturdays at 5. Now we're on Sundays at 2.
Putting the fun in our dysfunctional world. It's the Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter.
Well, you just heard Dr. Pat Fader of Comprehensive Chiropractic in here yesterday in studio. And, even though I've been going to Comprehensive Chiropractic for nearly 2 decades, I can't believe when I say stuff like that, am I really that old? I don't act like it. That's my wife agrees with that. Hey, Comprehensive Chiropractic is the premier. I think Dr. Fader proved that to you, proved that point better than I could do. I try to do my best, but man, he is so passionate and knows so much about holistic medicine, right? Comprehensive Chiropractic, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. And you heard that he works with a lot of healthcare partners as well. Chiropractic these days, he said, it's not your granddaddy's chiropractic. Yes, they still do all the basics, but now they've added so much more. And they've added a lot of partnerships and collaboration with other healthcare providers, those in the PT world and beyond. Comprehensive Chiropractic has the studio upstairs, the Health and Wellness Center. That comes complete with certified instructors for their Pilates and yoga and other awesome classes. Massage therapy, that is a nice building block to the chiropractic care. I am a true believer in chiropractic care. I used to be a little nervous about it. I'm talking a long time ago. Didn't know really what it was. I am a true believer. I've been going, like I said, for nearly 2 decades because every time I have a nagging injury that I know other people go to and get surgery for, which just seems, number one, you don't always get the results you might expect. Number two, you're having surgery, blah, blah, blah. Comprehensive Chiropractic has solved a lot of those same problems for me. Now, everybody's different, right? And I'm not giving medical advice here at all. That's why you need to go see Dr. Fader, Dr. Gorman, Dr. Benton. And it's not just backs and necks, right? It's knees and joints and elbows. It's nutrition as well. It's holistic. It's getting you back into shape. If maybe you've picked up a little extra pounds, maybe you're not feeling as good about yourself, maybe you're wondering why you've got some lethargy, they want to talk to you about all of that. It's not just fixing your vertebrae and spine. That's a big part of it. That's a huge component, but there is so much more to chiropractic holistic care these days. So whether it's just getting into shape, whether it's fixing a nagging injury, whether it's fixing maybe something acute that just happened to you in an accident, I would urge you to go see the awesome docs at Comprehensive Chiropractic and always mention how you got there. Mention that I sent you. Mention that you're a big fan of Newstalk STL. They love to know that. They keep track of that. That makes kind of everybody's worlds go round. They're at cchiropractic.com, cchiropractic.com, Comprehensive Chiropractic for all your comprehensive healthcare needs.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for Patriot Heating and Cooling. When your home's comfort is on the line, you need a team you can trust. That's why I recommend Patriot Heating and Cooling, St. Louis's trusted team of HVAC experts. These pros make customer service their number one priority, whether it's a summer breakdown or a winter emergency. Booking your service couldn't be easier. Just visit callpatriothvacstl.com or call 314-527-2722. Patriot Heating and Cooling. Comfort every day, the Patriot way.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
Hey folks, it's Jamie Allman here for the Walner home selling team of Berkshire Hathaway. I love this team so much, and Rodney and Jen love the team so much, I became a member. So now I'm an agent with the Walner home selling team of Berkshire Hathaway, and I can tell you, as a matter of fact, that we're going to get you into a home really super easily and with the lowest cost you're ever going to find, and make sure we find you that dream home. We're also going to list your home and get the top dollar for your home. I'm telling you, Rodney and Jen love this business. You can tell it is infectious, and I'm so happy to be a real estate agent there with them. 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD. Whether you are buying your home or selling your home, I'm telling you what, the costs are going to be absolutely totally minimal, but the professionalism and getting the job done for you is going to be 100%. The Walner home selling team of Berkshire Hathaway, 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD. Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
Follow Tim Jones on Twitter at Speaker Tim Jones.
Less than a minute now.
Tool time for 200.
This term for a long-handled gardening tool can also mean an immoral pleasure seeker. Ken.
What's a hoe?
No. Whoa. 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 They teach you that in school in Utah, huh, Al?
What's a rake?
A rake is right. You select, Al.
400, please.
What a perfect lead in to the St. Louis Young Republicans Trivia Night that's coming up July 25th. We'll see if Frank Catanzaro is designing some very spurious questions when we speak with him. Next, back on the show, the president of the St. Louis Young Republicans and Senator Ben Brown's chief of staff, Frank Catanzaro, joining us once again on News Talk STL. Frank, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good. Good evening, guys. It's great to be with you again. It's been a while, I feel like.
I feel like it has. This is what happens, right, Frank, when you don't write the trivia questions and you hand it off to one of your other cohorts, like that Jake Loft character or somebody like that, right?
Well, I've got to tease you guys because I think Jake Loft is planning on telling some really good jokes at our trivia night. So if you don't like playing games, at least come out for amateur hour.
I love it, indeed. Hopefully he's listening right now as well. Frank, let's make sure we remind folks of all the nitty-gritty before we get distracted and start talking about other things. St. Louis Young Republicans, you put on an awesome trivia night. I've attended for the last several years. It's a ton of fun. Frank, give us all the details on how folks can come and join us in the next couple weeks.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're, like you said, Tim, we're 2 weeks out from our Young Republican Trivia Night. It's going to be held at the GOP office in Fenton on Friday, July 25th. Doors open 5:45. Trivia starts at 6:30. We've still got a handful of tables left, so I urge your listeners, go online to stlyrs.com. I think you guys have a link on your website as well, and reserve that table because they're going quick. And like I said, we're really excited to partner with you guys this year. It's our third annual Trivia Night. And it's just going to be a good time. You can relax, you can play some spirited trivia and mingle with some good-minded conservative folks.
And if you ever want to harass any of our local elected officials, they all come to this, don't they, Frank? Because they have to see and be seen, don't they?
They do. If they're missing out, I'm taking notes and I'm getting onto them later on.
Excellent indeed. St. Louis Young Republicans Trivia Night, that's coming up Friday, July 25th. I am planning on being there, and many other folks from News Talk STL will as well. It's a great event. It's for a great cause. And we have a lot of fun along the way, too. Frank, what do all you young Republicans do when I know many of you, you also, like you, work on the official side of politics and public policy. You're the chief of staff for Senator Ben Brown. We're out of session. Thank goodness. It seemed like it was never going to end this year. And then we had a special session. So, what else is going on in young Republican land?
Sure. Well, the Young Republicans, we're an active group of young conservative-minded folks between the ages of 18 and 40 here in the St. Louis area. We also have chapters all across the state of Missouri and throughout the country. So we're everywhere. And our goal is to get people engaged, to get more involved in local politics, maybe run for office at the local, state, and federal level, and make a real difference because we want to make sure the next generation is led by strong, convicted conservative Republicans.
Indeed. Frank, I'm not just saying this because I'm speaking with you right now. I say this when you guys aren't in the room. Your boss, Senator Ben Brown, and you're a big part of that office as his chief of staff. He has really proven himself to be a legislator's legislator. Very conservative voting record that he has maintained while also still being able to pass significant legislation. I know he had a bill signing this week to prohibit foreign money in our elections. A lot of people didn't realize we had to pass a law for that, but unfortunately the left is so nefarious. They just find ways around everything. Ben has, I bet for you, been a real treat to work for, hasn't he? And he's really proven himself as an awesome younger leader himself in the state of Missouri.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned younger leader because Ben himself is a young Republican. And not only is he a member of our organization and he's my boss, but he's also a good close friend of mine. I've known Ben Brown when he started out as a restaurateur and just member of our club back in 2018. And he did that good fight against Sam Page and all the necessary lockdowns and mandates that our liberal county of St. Louis decided to impose on us. And he was able to kind of rise up and get a whole coalition and eventually run for office. And I think we have no one greater in our area than Ben Brown representing us. He's one of the good ones down there. He's up for re-election next year, so we're fortunate to have him for another 5 years, hopefully serving us in Jeff City and just getting the big things done. You mentioned one, Tim, which was getting the foreign funding ban. There was so much, there was millions of dollars that have been poured into our elections over the years on our initiative petition issues that have been funded by foreign entities. And that's a huge problem, as you and your listeners know.
Mm-hmm.
So fortunately, we got that accomplished and a ban on that. Governor Kehoe signed into law this week, like you mentioned. Ben Brown's been looking head first at trying to reform our tax policy in this state, lowering or completely eliminating our income tax on working families and just making Missouri a more competitive climate for growth in families.
Mm-hmm. I'm really looking forward to that. I know he's been working with you and with me and many of our other partners on trying to eliminate the income tax, something the governor himself has called for multiple times this year. We just need to all kind of come up with a plan and get on the same page. Ben, you mentioned Ben kind of came to all this almost because he said, I just couldn't take it anymore. As a small business owner in the county of St. Louis, he was just so sick and tired of having freedoms and liberties unconstitutionally stripped of him and his fellow small business owners. So he, of course, is very active on the small business front. But Frank, he's kind of become the election integrity guy, not just here in Missouri, but he's getting a lot of national attention. Do you know why he why was he drawn to that? And why does he continue to look for ways to improve the integrity of our system?
Like any issue, Tim, I think Ben is driven to things that are difficult that need to be done. And election integrity is something we can always improve on. We're always learning about better ways to make our elections more secure, making sure that outside groups can't tamper and influence our voters in ways that are detrimental to our state. And so Ben's really taken that issue head on. As we mentioned before, he passed the ban on the foreign funding this year, but last year he actually was able to accomplish a ban on ranked choice voting. And this was an issue many of us weren't even familiar with, probably 4 or 5 years ago, until we saw the negative impact that had in states like Alaska, where we had lost one of their only Republican congressional seats to a distorted voting system like ranked choice. And so now, fortunately, thanks to Senator Ben Brown, that issue's been banned. And I know that he's looking now at some other issues. We're about to head to the ALEC conference. And I know you're attending that with us as well. And he's actually looking to learn more about some other measures he can file for next session and sessions moving forward.
Excellent. Yeah, I want to talk to you about ALEC. I think we'll have time to get into that. But first, I want to get back to kind of the young Republican movement, Frank, kind of writ large. Speaking to Frank Catanzaro, by the way, folks, he is the president of the St. Louis Young Republicans, STLYRs.com. They are partnering with us once again here at News Talk STL for their trivia night, which is Friday, July 25th, right around the corner. Information at the STLYR website, STLYRs.com. They're on Facebook as well. And of course, newstalkstl.com. We've got it right up there on our upper banner. Frank, Young Republicans, it's a club, it's an association, it's an organization, it's fun. People can join it and network and mix and mingle and all that. You're also part of a national organization. Talk a little bit about that and how there's a movement of young people that are, I think, really drawn to what we've seen with Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and all this kind of new energy that's been injected into the Republican Party nationally over the last few years.
Absolutely, Tim. So the Young Republicans, we are a national organization. We're an extension of the GOP as a whole, and we're made up of folks that are between the ages of 18 and 40. We have chapters in nearly every state in our country, including Hawaii. And I can tell you that our goal is to recruit, train, elect the next generation of Republican leaders. We've done it here in Missouri. We're doing it all over the country. Each and every year, we get more young Republicans that are getting elected to local, state, and federal office. And we do that through finding the right candidates, recruiting them, getting them involved at our events, inspiring them to either work on a campaign or run for office themselves. And we're creating a coalition of young people to engage and make sure that the next generation is on a good track.
Indeed. Finally, Frank, you mentioned, we're heading over to Indianapolis for the annual ALEC meeting. ALEC is an organization, a member-driven voluntary organization that legislators Democrats, Republicans are free to join. Your Senator Ben Brown, actually, he's my senator too. I live in his district, and many of our other colleagues are heading over. They also have a staff component, I know, Frank, that you've participated in. Tell me a little bit about that experience and why you continue to be drawn to these ALEC meetings and why you like to go to them.
I can tell you ALEC is one of the best organizations in this country, like you mentioned. They're nonpartisan, Tim, and they help advise our lawmakers at the state level on issues so that when they decide to file some legislation, they have what's called model legislation. They can take that back to their states. They can learn how it was implemented in other states, see the best practices, and ensure that we get, especially here in Missouri, we borrow some components from states like Tennessee or Florida, and we apply that here in Missouri and watch these pro-growth policies actually be implemented here. And, as you mentioned, ALEC has a staff component. I've been able to participate in what ALEC calls a staff academy. And they gather chiefs of staff, legislative assistants from all around the country at the state level. And they put us in a room for trainings for 1 to 2 days. And we kind of learn the best practices that we can be as staffers. And I was actually part of this program a couple of years ago, and I found it very invaluable. I was able to take back not only policy, but just processes and procedures to make my office run more efficient so that we can serve the taxpayers and the residents of our district even better.
Fantastic. Folks, if you are a young person listening to us right now, or if you have young people in your lives, you can have these awesome experiences as well by joining the St. Louis Young Republicans and getting on the same path that Frank has been on and continues to expand upon with his career. STLYRs.com. And I'm looking at the Trivia Night banner right now at newstalkstl.com. Friday, July 25th, the St. Louis County GOP headquarters. Doors at 5:45, trivia at 6:30 p.m. It's a blast. I've been to it many times, actually since Frank started it, and it's really been a lot of fun. So come out and join us, newstalkstl.com for all that information and lots more. Frank, looking forward to our little road trip next week. My friend, have a great weekend, and I'll see you soon. Oh, shoot, we lost him. We may have lost him at the end. That's okay.
What a diva.
Yeah, he's like, I've had enough of you, Jones.
Couldn't come into the studio, hangs up on us.
Frank, thanks so much for joining us, stlyrs.com. He just texted me. I think he's texted me probably that he dropped it. He felt bad. So, yeah, Frank, no problem. No problem, Frank. Thanks for joining us. We got everything in, all good, and I'll see you, my friend, next week. All right, 5:43. Got to take a quick break now because we got to come back and give Joey enough time to tell us all about the Man of Steel, the new Superman movie, simply called Superman. That's next on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
Congratulations, old buddy. You're going to go down in history as the man who killed Superman.
Superman! No! Think about it. You won't believe it's true that all the love you've been giving has all been meant for you.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A few isolated thunder showers, maybe heavy. We'll have to be on guard for maybe a very isolated pocket of some strong winds out of a couple of these storms, but very isolated. Most of these are just some heavy rain and lightning briefly, and they'll fade as the sun sets this evening. Then overnight, a few more storms redevelop for St. Louis, mainly near and after midnight, low of 75 degrees. Any morning storms move on. A few more may pop up in the afternoon Saturday. Better chance southeast of St. Louis, but we could get clipped by a few thunderstorms. 89 for the high Saturday. Sunday, a 30% chance for a few storms. 88 for the high. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
So Monday at 9:05, right off the bat, we're going to talk to Gwyn Hinman from the Great Wall That Heals at Jefferson Barracks Park.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for my dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, the one-stop shop for all your family's dental needs. And Dr. Boscia is always expanding his services, now including the incredible all-on-4 full arch implant procedure, full mouth restoration that can give you back your smile in as little as 1 day. No more suffering with damaged or missing teeth or poor-fitting dentures. You can see some amazing smile makeovers, learn more about the all-on-4 procedure, and see everything Dr. Boscia can do right now at newcreationdentalcare.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Welcome back to the final segment of the show of the week here on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. But the magic does not end. Larry Connors, USA, following us as he does every Monday through Friday. Larry's got some awesome, amazing information, some unique theories about the Epstein file scandal. I think it's a scandal. I think it's a scandal in many. You know what, Tim? It's been a scandal. Duh. It's been a scandal in many ways, and now we have new scandals within the scandals. He's going to talk all about that at 6:05 and beyond. And then we have awesome weekend programming. Dr. Randy Tobler tomorrow morning, 6 to 9 a.m. Tune in, listen, download the app. Somebody the other day was somewhere and they were in trouble with one of our signals, whatever. Download the app. Just download the app, folks. Please download the app. I'm going to say it till you do it. Download the app, News Talk STL. You can listen to us in crystal clear digital HD, no matter where you are in the St. Louis region, in Missouri, in the United States of America, or dare I say even around the world. Speaking of around the world, it's something Superman often does when he takes to the silver screen. Joey V saw the newest Man of Steel movie, and he's going to tell us all about it now and next.
What movie are you playing?
Today we're talking Superman.
You got your cape on.
Did you see me go in that phone booth?
I didn't even see it. All of a sudden it just appeared.
Look at that. Let me do a little spin for the camera.
Okay, do that. Oh, it's real. Oh, look at that.
I got my cape on, you guys. If I get choked out because I have a lack of oxygen, it's because of this stupid cape. Like I told you, I went to Ronnie's IMAX to see this on Monday.
On the big, massive screen.
Giant IMAX. They turn up the volume a little bit louder, so that's what the extra ticket cost was. And they gave me a little voucher that said 1 free popcorn, 1 free soda, and 1 free candy. For me and my lady, we both got to choose our different items that we wanted. And that's why this is 5 out of 5 stars. Review over. That's all that matters. No, I got cookie dough bites, and you can only eat like 5 of those before they make you sick. So
that's true.
That was like a bad decision.
It's like eating balls of sugar.
I know. So let me take off this Velcro cape.
Okay. Back to Clark Kent, Joey.
And we'll listen to the trailer.
Here we go.
For Superman.
Are you being serious right now? You'd let me interview you as Superman.
Let's do it, Cronkite.
Recently, you've come under a lot of fire for what some might.
A lot of fire.
It's a lot. In effect, you illegally entered a country.
This is how you're gonna be?
I'm not the one being interviewed, Superman. Did you consult with the president?
No.
You seemingly acting as a representative of
I
the
wasn't
United States.
representing anybody except for me and doing good.
I would question myself in the same situation and consider the consequences.
People were going to die.
So hopefully you can tell from that trailer that right off the bat, Lois Lane knows who Superman is. She
like right away.
She is in love and they have a relationship. Clark Kent is Superman and she knows it and they work together at the Daily Planet. So right there, let me tell you a Latin term. It is in medias res, which means in the middle of the things.
Okay.
This movie starts out and you don't need to know anything and it's just right there in the middle of the story.
Because everybody knows the story.
Everyone does not need to see this baby shot off from Krypton again in his little spaceship and land on Earth and get rescued by Ma and Pa Kent and then watch him grow up. So the very, very first scene.
So we start off in the middle of Superman's life on Earth as he is Superman already.
Yeah, the very first time you see Superman, he is bleeding in the middle of the snow just after losing his first fight ever. So that's all you really need to know is that at some point, he left Krypton, but we're in the middle of this story. Now, I don't have a deep relationship with Superman. I watched these Max Fleischer cartoons from the 1940s. growing up. I guess my grandma got me these tapes because it was like open source, royalty free or whatever back in the day. Anyone could make these tapes of the Fleischer cartoons because they were so old. So my grandma got me those. And that was my first experience watching Superman. There were like these 17 shorts that they used to show. And I love those. And that's what this Superman movie reminded me of. This is like episodic Saturday morning cartoon. And you don't really need to know what's going to happen next because, there's going to be a next episode next week. And I loved it. It was so bright and colorful. And I've been a big fan of James Gunn because I have superhero fatigue. I don't keep up with any of these movies. I only saw the last Superman movie when it was like Man of Steel. I skipped all the other ones with Ben Affleck as Batman, and I didn't see any of those.
I
But
thought
this-
Man of Steel with James Cavill was fantastic.
Mhm.
He's just a great actor, though. He's fantastic. He does anything he does is awesome.
Yeah, I didn't watch Batman versus Superman or
Okay.
Dawn of Justice.
Yeah.
I didn't care about any of those.
Okay.
But I always go back to the theater for the James Gunn movies. Guardians of the Galaxy
Yes.
1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
The Suicide Squad. He's just got a sense of humor that connects with me. So if you're a fan of James Gunn, I think you're gonna love this movie. There's some people like our friend Mike Cernovich. He's this guy that's a conservative guy that worked really hard to get James Gunn canceled and fired from Disney. And so he may not be a fan. And then I think maybe Ben Shapiro, he's looking for political leanings and stuff in this Superman movie, but I didn't really see him
Now,
there.
what about the critique? And Joey, I haven't seen the movie, and so all I'm seeing is these one-off. And a lot of times, these critiques by people who are not giving you the whole story of the movie, they sometimes miss the mark. And I'm like, because then I'll go watch the movie, and I'm like, why were they complaining about that? I didn't see that in this movie. I think it's fine. They take things in vacuum. They take it in a vacuum, right?
Mhm.
So I've heard some people say, well, this Superman isn't really a Superman. He's got these weaknesses, and he's a weak Superman. He's a beta Superman and all this. But does he still like have superpowers and battle monsters and save the world and all that stuff?
Yeah, I think they explain it really well. You can tell James Gunn cares about these characters. He's read all the comic books and he knows how to tie it all together.
Okay.
So there's a certain way that Superman can get beat up, but also a way that he can heal that I think makes complete sense. And the romance story with him and Lois Lane is just so realistic and beautiful. I'm a huge fan of this girl, Rachel Brosnahan.
Okay.
She was Marvelous Miss Maisel. For some reason, she's like the exact type of hotness that I like. She actually looks like my girlfriend a little bit.
Hey
so
now,
maybe
yeah.
that's why I liked her.
Okay.
And she's not someone that just stands by waiting to get rescued. She takes initiative. She cares about journalism.
Good for her.
She calls Clark Kent out on his BS whenever he tries to do something that's not journalistically correct. And, she's part of the story, that keeps the action going.
Well, and in James Gunn's defense, Joey, there have been plenty of I know everybody, and look, I hate the woke and all that stuff too, but I feel like now we're almost like looking for it everywhere. Let's remember some of the ancient comic strips about Superman before decades ago, before there was any woke and political correctness and all that. There were comic strips, Joey, where Superman got hurt and in some cases died.
Mhm.
And then, of course, they figure out how to bring him back to life. It just happened I'm sorry if I'm spoiling this for you. This movie came out, 7 years ago. Justice League is the big super outer space demon guy. He kills Superman. But then that was Batman versus Superman. In Batman versus Superman, Superman dies. And then in Justice League, they bring him back.
Mhm.
And so it's happened before in other movies that show the human side of Superman, because I think Superman likes that human side of himself, even though he has superpowers.
Yeah, he sees the goodness in Earth and he loves it and he wants to protect it. Now, there's all of this government stuff that he doesn't understand red tape at all. He just goes wherever there's a war and he tries to save people. But that has repercussions because, you didn't tell the president, you didn't tell the FBI. So he does get in trouble in that way. But he's pure of heart and he loves humans and he has the consciousness to know that he needs to be careful because they could get mad at him.
What are our villains and our monsters and our evil forces in this one?
Well, Lex Luthor, he's an evil billionaire. You could say he's always been bald, but some people could see we're maybe comparing him to, Jeff Bezos or Stephen Miller. I've heard people compare him to that. So he's the big baddie, but he's just someone who sells war machines to the government.
Okay.
He just wants to get rich.
He's the bad Tony Stark.
Of course.
Yes.
The only thing that I would complain about, it's very un-American, is that there's product placement by Toyota. I feel like they should have picked an American company. And I know Toyota employs a lot of Americans.
They do.
I am very upset at what they call the Toyota Racing Development. They put that logo on the side of all those cars. And the acronym spells turd. They put TRD on the sides of all their cars. And I hate seeing that in the middle of this movie. They do a close-up on the TRD on the back of a Toyota. And then Jake Tapper has like a split-second little cameo, and that's kind of annoying as well. Get him out of there.
Yeah, what the heck's he doing there? His book's not doing as well? Or something?
I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm always annoyed when like Wolf Blitzer shows up, takes me out of a movie. I give this 4 out of 5
Whoa,
stars.
that's big for you.
It peaks a little too early. My favorite scene happens probably about 40 minutes before it ends.
Okay.
And so my mouth was open and I was smiling so big at the same time in this one scene that happens like 40 minutes earlier. And then in the end, it doesn't have a strong ending, but if you're thinking of the further adventures of Superman, I was excited to watch the movie immediately as soon as it was over. I'm excited for the next one.
So it's set up for another.
Of course,
Of
yes.
course.
And there's already movies set up in the pipeline. I think even me saying the titles may ruin the ending of this, but DC under James Gunn and his supervision, I think is in good hands.
There's been some great Superman actors. Of course, we had the famous, dearly departed Christopher Reeve. I thought Henry Cavill, Man of Steel, was an excellent Superman. Who is this Superman and how does he stack up?
David Cornsweet, you probably would have recognized him from the latest Twister movie, Twisters, and he's just a sweet guy. He doesn't have the chiseled jaw of Henry Cavill, and he's fallible, and he beats up on himself. There is a little bit of social media that maybe could have been left out of the movie, but, Superman hates it when people tweet about him and say angry things about him.
That's funny.
So that's kind of
like the rest of us.
Yeah, James Gunn got canceled because of a tweet, so maybe that was James Gunn putting that
I like that.
in there a little bit. They have an army of monkeys that Lex Luthor employs to send angry tweets at Superman to get on his nerves. So it's kind of funny in that way as well.
4 out of 5. That's fantastic.
4 out of 5. Go see it. I think it's going to do really well.
It's
at the box
available.
office.
It's available right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Joey, excellent movie review. Superman by James Gunn. All right. Chris has headed off across the pond, as they say. He's getting over to the UK at a very special time that I love every year. It's the Wimbledon finals and then the beginning of the Open Championship, the Scottish Open wrapping up. There's your sports report over the pond for the week. Hey, I'm Tim Jones. I'll be back here on Monday with producer Joey V. We'll have Jim Talent, Susie Moore, and Attorney General Andrew Bailey. Larry Connor's up next. 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Vic, and I'm here with Kathy Connor at Connor Roofing. Kathy, what makes Connor Roofing different?
Hey, Vic. I'm glad that you asked. I think that what really sets Connor Roofing apart is our relationship with our customers. It's very important to us to develop that trust with the homeowner. This is what has allowed us to serve our friends and our neighbors in the St. Louis area for 30 years. Whether we are doing a roof or a gutter repair or even a